Okay, I can start. Perfect. Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about my experience talking about education and also the role of students, the leadership of students in this context of globalization and talking about active global citizenship. So it's really interesting to start delivering this presentation, starting with this question that I really liked. And when Global Citizenship Foundation asked me about to talk about GCED, how we can connect also with my personal and professional journey as well. So thank you so much for being here. And I would like to start this presentation um, presenting you this question that is, how can we better prepare students to become global learners, which is something really powerful to understand. And right now, in some minutes, I will briefly describe you some experiences and some cases where students, exactly Peruvian students, are creating and are working really hard to to make and engage more in their own causes, but also at the same time connecting with the necessities and challenges in their own communities. My name is Kelly Quispe Flores. Right now, I'm the Service Learning Coordinator in San Silvestre School, which is a British Peruvian school located in Lima, Peru, in Latin America. And it's a pleasure to share those information, these resources, and these experiences with all of you. How is going to be this presentation? How is going to be the flow of this information that I'm going to share with you? At the beginning, I'm going to share a little bit about my journey as a of activism in terms of education and exchange programs and participation in different spaces, locally, nationally, but also internationally. The second part is about why do we need to transform education as a key part of the process of understanding there are different changes in education. We have had a recent summit in Brazil talking about these topics. So there are many highlights about these international sessions. So I'm more than glad to share with you about this. Also, in the third part, we are going to focus on different experiences, lessons, projects connected with youth leadership and also global citizenship education, and how students are starting their journey of advocacy within high school, within a school. And finally, I'm going to focus in one of my best parts, which is what is service learning and how is connected with GCD, with Global Citizenship Education, within high school also at national level, and how also it's really interesting to start connecting with civil society organizations, local organizations, with different members of school, and how these kind of relations and partnerships can be can be more engaged, can be more strong, if we want to make like a sustainable and positive impact in the community as well. So I would like to start very briefly talking about a little bit about my journey in activism in terms of in three parts. I have divided this my journey in three parts. The first one is about my journey as an English learner. Everyone knows, and even though my mother tongue is Spanish, definitely English has been one of the key elements in my process to become more a global citizen. Um, Having key opportunities during high school that right now in my professional journey in working with students, young learners, it's really interesting to see how English have become a very powerful element to understand not only the different opportunities that are around the world, but also how English can become an element to start connecting with other students, with other experiences. And one of the best experiences that I had during my journey as a adolescent was an English access program and summer science camp that I had in the United States when I was 16, 15 years old. And I had the opportunity to connect with more than 30 students from different parts of Latin America. And we connected in the United States, and we learned not only English, but also science, technology, innovation. And we come back to our countries and we start thinking about how we can make some differences, how we can provide different resources and opportunities to other adolescents as well. And this key moment of my life start disseminating another idea of active volunteering, which meant for me start identifying what are other challenges, necessities that are really crucial in my community, and not only identify, but start working on them, um, finding solutions, starting co-creating with other youth and other people as well. And in that time during university and also and after university, I had a chance to work with different organizations as a volunteer, such as ISEC, Youth Opportunities to the World Literacy Foundation, the GCED Online Campus. There is an initiative of UNESCO APSEU in South Korea, and World Learning. Recently, World Learning as a mentor with one of the best partners that I had in my country to motivate and mentor young learners in their process to become leaders in their communities. And those elements of English and active volunteering come up with this idea of communication for development and education. Something that I didn't mention is that I studied communication for development, and during the last years, I had this special interest and focus on education, especially global education, and how we can connect the ideas, the voices, and the experiences of learners, not only in Peru, but also in other parts of the world. And communication for development has been one of the also the best the best process to understand not only the work of UNESCO, USAID, and different NGOs and youth organizations where I have been involved, and also different projects too, but also this idea of promoting diversity, articulation, and dialogue between different actors and social sectors. Right now, in this tumultuous and changing world where um, diversity, dialogue, and talking about peace are elements that we must reinforce. And I'm very grateful that in this journey as a global citizen, I could have the chance to connect and to understand what could be the different challenges in terms of diversity, dialogue, communication, and also youth leadership. And this idea of dialogue, communication, leadership, and my interest and my focus on education and global education has gave me the opportunity and also to present you this question that is really necessary to avoid to talk. Why do we need to transform education? I was talking very early with one person of one organization in the India, and she told me that right now, no, they are going to create like a festival, and one of the topics, yes, definitely, is education, and they want to focus on how education also is flowing, no, in this changing world with new elections, with social media. On the other hand, there are other different processes, political, social, economic process. But what is the specific where is the presence, where is the role of education in all of these processes that we are experiences as citizens, but also as um, youth activists or as a professionals in our own domains too. As our world grows increasingly interdependently, we have identified that education, no, is more vital than ever for inspiring learners to become um, citizens, active citizens as well, and to and those students and those learners can contribute with their own experiences, with their own ideas, to have this chance to create not only in an individual but also in a collective way um, their experiences and their voices with their peers. Why do we need to transform education? Recently we had this um, summit in Brazil, in Fortaleza, where different authorities and different governments were needed to start converning about the, um, the significance and the important role of education as well, and how education, especially connected with um, politics, economics, and cultural highlights and challenges, are encouraging to start thinking about how we can transform education, not only in terms of knowledge, not only in terms of what kind of methodologies students are acquiring after, for example, the pandemic, the pandemic situation that was a crisis in many countries, including in Peru and in Latin America, where many classes, where many teachers and students have to be embarked in this new journey of virtual classes, where honestly, there wasn't enough infrastructure, there wasn't enough incentives. Internet connection was not really a priority for many governments, including my country, including Peru. So those challenges, right now we are still having it, and talking about education also, it's really necessary because in this summit there were almost 4 points, 5 points that focus not only in student learners but also in lifelong learning skills, in how we can promote teacher development opportunities as well, because they, students, parents, are part of the educational ecosystem too. And also infrastructure, and also in terms in economics, in economics incentives to education. So the importance of transform education involves and could involve many pedagogies, many methodologies to talking about like an holistic approach of how we can understand the different challenges that young learners are facing in terms also of social emotional skills that is connected with self, social emotional learning processes that students right now are facing. And for example, here in Peru, we are right now living this APEC Summit. APEC Summit that reunites different presidents and authorities here in Lima in this week. And it's really interesting and paradoxic to mention this, because this summit talks about different agreements in economics, political agreements, economics agreements. However, our authorities here in Peru decided to move uh, in-person classes to virtual classes, not taking into account that more than 2 million students only in Lima, which is the capital city, don't have um, access to internet and the economic resources to access to their own classes. So that's something that I would like to share, because it's unacceptable. The 2 million of students didn't have the chance to say, yes, uh, I would like to participate in virtual classes or in-person classes, when um, this kind of agreement from Peruvian government didn't have the chance to understand, the context of the importance of education, the importance of young learners' character, abilities, knowledge, at the end of this, almost at the end of this year. So this is one of a specific case of the importance of talking about education. And this is the experience of Peru, but there are many other experiences as well. If we moved to um, other continents, for example, in Orient, or in terms of conflicts, in terms of war, many children, many women, don't have the chance, don't have the opportunity to access to education. And talking about education also, it's necessary, because right now, as I mentioned, those authorities that agreed and converged in Fortaleza and in Brazil have mentioned different and highlight different things connected with education, and one of them is about equity, equity and inclusion, equity and inclusion as a way to to review, to understand, and to identify what are our policy frameworks and our curricula, pedagogical strategies in terms to uh, reinforce more equity and inclusion in schools, because ensure the access and the participation of different learners, young learners. It's necessary to take to account that there are also other factors, other social factors, such as discrimination, not access, um, low economic resources to access to education, marginalization of vulnerable groups. So it's important to take to account equity and inclusion in schools. Other part also to talk about of transforming education is about early childhood, and this foundational learning, starting with a beginning, no to the with the beginning of early childhood and education, and also the importance to promote the the compulsory participation of education since early years, primary, and also the the necessary emphasis of learning, taking into account the social emotional skills that are part of this process. lifelong learning skills too, which are really important. And I'm going to focus later on those experiences as well with young learners in their own projects. But lifelong learning skills right now in this century, in 21st century, and how development and globalization increases also the participation of young learners in different platforms such as social media, different in person, but also remote opportunities. And it's really nice to see how young learners are creating their own pathways to differentiate, to acquire more skills, to also connect with others. So that's something that we must take into account, because right now, yeah, we are identifying, in many international organizations are identifying that the importance of training, the importance of finding also job opportunities um, after young people finish, for example, university classes or university journey, or institutional higher level institutions, when they finish their journey in those spaces. But what about later on? What about finding new jobs, finding opportunities? This is one of the tasks or challenges that many young people are facing: job opportunities, and that can align with their own process, with their own experiences and skills too. And finally, um, another 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 element about talking about transforming education is the role, in the specific role of governance and leadership in education. Um, how we can reinforce, um, participatory, and this idea of education, and strengthening different systems and um, levels of education, not only from ministries but also um, evidenced policies, managements, and engaging more meaningful agreements and measures when we talk about education that affect not only youth and students but also teachers, school communities, including parents, local local communities as well. So it's really, really, really important to talk about this. And something that I would like to mention is about global citizenship education, because after focusing on this idea of transforming education, GCD comes up as a framework of identifying that we can create changes. We can create not only changes, but sustainable changes in these five domains, such as in human rights, preventing conflict and increasing peace building, respect for diversity, globalization, and social justice, as well as sustainability. So it's really interesting to see GCD as an approach, because not only gave us the tools to understand what kind of how we can create and promote global citizenship in our schools or in our spaces, but also it's really nice to see that um, global citizenship education can connect really well with curriculum, with youth experiences or young learners experiences, teacher experiences too, in three ways: cognitive, social emotional, and behavioral. Which skills does GCD aim to develop? Those three. Cognitive, in terms of that learners can acquire different knowledges, but also an understanding of what is happening in their own context, at national level, and also what kind of global issues right now we are facing. And this interconnected and interdependency is really necessary when we talk about global education. Also, the second part is social emotional, and I was talking this previously when I mentioned one of the highlights of this global education summit in Brazil. The social emotional relevance, super hyper necessary when we talk about the different learners experiences as a sense of belonging to a common humanity, yes, but including also the values and responsibilities based on human rights. We can't talk about education, and this is like a personal vision and also experience. We can talk about education without talking about emotions, without talking about how we are feeling, how we are experiencing classes, but different topics too, and how we can connect those topics or those information and knowledge when we are happening what we are happening around us. So I think it's really necessary to talk about emotions, social emotional skills, and finally behavioral, because learners develop motivation and willingness to take necessary action. And we are going to talk about how young learners are creating and are introducing different pathways and creating different projects at different levels, yes, um, and how these three areas of cognitive, social emotional, and behavioral are the tripartite the tripartite of talking about GCD as an approach that is becoming more relevant right now, taking into account the different processes of that we are facing in our countries in terms of human rights, in terms of peace, in terms of diversity, in terms of dialogue, communication. And we are going to continue talking about, yes, youth advocacy for global competence. This is really powerful because I could have the chance uh, last year to talk with one organization, which is AFS Programs. And there was a session where I could have the privilege to participate with also two amazing leaders in their own countries. And the session was called Youth Advocacy for Global Competence. So I want to bring this idea of the title of this session to present you two experiences of youth advocacy for global competence that happened in a very crucial moment of my professional journey, but also I could see there is more relevant than ever to start discussing and exploring the different alternatives and opportunities that come up when we talk about advocacy and when we talk about global competence in terms of global citizenship education and preparing also young learners to start acquiring different skills, different um, perspectives too, when inside within classroom, but also um, outside the classroom, abroad the classes. So the next,
Hello, Kelly.
yes,
Hi, Kelly. Sorry for interrupting you. Could you please present it in full screen?
whole screen. Okay,
Yeah, the slides.
yes, here. It
Thank you
is.
very much. I
Okay.
think it's better.
Time is better.
I think it's better.
Yeah. So it's perfect right now? Yes. Okay.
Is that a
So,
way?
mhm.
Oh, so sorry for interrupting again. Is there a way we can present just the slides without um the menu?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Just
Could you explore that?
give me a little bit. Oh, okay, okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. Yes. And yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you very
Mhm.
much.
Yes. So, where I was in those experiences, talking about youth advocacy for global competence, and those experiences are connected with education and also youth leadership and student leadership. The first one is about Concausa 2030, and the second one is about, sorry, New Kanchik Youth Digital Voices in Action 2021. The first one, Concausa, was well, Concausa exists. It still exists as an initiative that aims to empower, to connect, and mobilize a lot of adolescents in the Americas around a network that contributes to sustainable development and the eradication of child poverty. There are different Concausa is present in many countries with the support of one organization, America Solidaria, and also with other organizations as well, such as UNICEF and CEPLAN. And I still remember this experience because, as you can see, Concausa was in that year, we are talking about 2020, 2021. This experience was virtually. And in Peru, we have this Concausa summit before the formal Concausa that was taking place in Santiago de Chile, in Chile. So something really powerful about this experience is that Concausa creates not only this idea of connect different adolescents and their their motivations, their purposes to create a meaningful change in their own community, but also at the same time in Peru we had this um, to create this idea of also reunite teachers and mentors to start discussing what kind of ways, methodologies, and best practices can support the projects of these youth leaders that start creating with one or two connected with one or two sustainable development goals in terms of climate change, education, human rights, non-discrimination, etc. So it was really interesting to see in that experience that we have adolescents and teachers start discussing, reflecting about their own journeys, and at the same time we had a chance to connect it and both those two groups, and it was really fantastic to see that in a very critical time that was the pandemic. we could identify different, highlight different points of agreement or contact with these two groups, different challenges that they have as a the students and as a teachers, could be the same motivations to how they were experiencing this hard time, and um, what are their own process of growth in this specific context. And the second experience is New Kanchik, Youth Digital Voices in Action, that also was um, connected with this idea of a virtual program that trained more than 45 adolescents between the ages of 14 and 17 years old, and also teachers in different regions, from different regions in Peru, talking about global citizenship education, digital literacy, and lifelong learning skills. Another program that gave me the chance to start connecting with those groups, start identifying what are could be the challenges in those perspectives of education in that time. And right now, 2 years, 3 years after those experiences, um, we are still, and I think that those challenges are more important in our um, have not decreased. Moreover, they are still right now, those challenges in Peru, in Latin America too, and also around the world. And right now, what I'm going to explore, continuously talking about these ideas of and these projects um, of education and youth advocacy. Something that I really feel really proud of talking about is service learning, because this is another approach that is connected with global citizenship education. And I think that I'm good in time, so I'm going to start talking about what is service learning. When we are talking about youth leadership and transforming education, taking into account the challenges and necessities in the communities. I had a chance to lead the office of service learning in my school, in the school that I work. Um, and the first year of my role was really hard because I didn't have the enough experience, or not talking about experience, but I know that the whole knowledge of what I'm going to face when we talk about, or when I talk about service learning. So I start thinking about the different connections that service learning can make in as a teacher, could be as a for young learners, for the educational ecosystem too. And service learning, if I would like to make or present um, um, an idea, is the voluntary act of addressing community needs and ethically working towards sustainable solutions, which is a process that involves, and we must highlight this, active consultation and collaboration among stakeholders to promote reciprocal, respectful, and open hearted partnerships, according to Orenda Learning 2020. So, service learning, for me is, is talking about volunteering, yes. But when we talk about service learning, we must realize that there are these keywords: sustainable solutions, active consultation, and collaboration with different stakeholders. And that's really powerful, because service learning in the classroom, and I had a chance to see this in 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 the school and talking with other teachers. Service learning in the classroom promotes not only this idea of, yeah, volunteering, and we can change the world, but also the authentic connections to the units, taking into account local contexts that arise when learning about issues and planning for service actions, opportunities for varied um, collaborative service experiences that amplify student voice and choice, implementing the principles of mutual exchange, reciprocal and sustainable partnerships, and also involving students in the selection of what kind of activities or projects are more suitable for better academic and personal development. Service learning and my journey with SL has involved this methodology that I'm going to share with you is reflection, investigation, preparation, action, demonstration, and everything connected with the curriculum. Students in San Silvestre High School firstly identified what are the challenges, what are the main things that our the community and the people that are living, the citizens are facing as a way of investigation. Then the second phase of preparation, how they can prepare to support to change this reality, what kind of activities, what kind of um, of ideas they have to to support or to promote another aspect of improvement the life of this community. And finally they start creating action, but not only in an isolated way, but also taking into account those two variables, which is reflection. During whole this process, reflection is a key part and is a key element because young learners are facing another context, which are really could be really different from they lived, and also demonstration, because even though it could be one action, a small action, or including a big activity or event, demonstration and reflection are also involved as a transversal in this process of service learning in the curriculum. In my experience, and this is the experience of the school that I had the chance to working on, we have every year, at the beginning of every year, we with the support of students, because this is a very really nice intergenerational working with adolescents from 11 to 12 years old to 15 16 years old, talking about service learning and also creating a service learning project fair that involves grade 6 to form 5 students who they participate very actively creating the materials. um, they met different representatives from different local projects in Lima, and they start feeling curious, asking different questions about, yeah, why they are doing why they are doing this project in that community, what are the challenges, how they can help, how they can support. So that's really powerful to see. And every year we select only 5 projects in the school for every promotion. Those are photos that the experience of this year and how girls are start working, no, from the beginning with the materials and thinking about if this project is suitable for the age of this promotion and what kind of activities they can be more interested to participate. And also, we have this service learning council, specifically in secondary, where students, 2 students per year or year promotion, were actively into service learning initiatives, campaigns, and communication materials, including also other 2 clubs, Audi Club and Operation Smile Club, where actively they start discussing, creating, and promoting service learning within the school. I would like to share with you some of the projects that Service Learning is carrying out this year, which are connected with different partnerships that we have created in local community, in the local community around Lima. Which the first one is Alinen, which is a shelter for mothers and adolescents that are suffering cancer, and students they created different activities to make this time for these moms, for these mothers, and for these adolescents, um, provide a better quality of life, and feeling valuable in this very hard time. Another one is Cantaya, which is connected with the SDG number 4 education, where um, students from San Silvestre start creating different materials, activities connected with mathematics, English, or including some games to children in vulnerable situations in the south of Lima, which is Ventanilla district. Misiones de Emergencia, where young learners for Form 3, yes, participated with this organization to visit hospitals, where they start creating or preparing food for patients and family members of these hospitals in Lima, because in Peru we have national hospitals. In those hospitals, many patients or family members can stay more than one day waiting for an attention, or including more days. So they have recognized the importance of supporting them with food or with other materials such as blankets in the winter season. The next one, Alto Peru, where students identified the importance of working with the community in the revalorization of the spaces, and they start supporting the community by painting and remodeling this kind of a square near with the support of the community as well. So it was one of the best spaces that we had with community, talking and working with them. So it was really interesting to see that experience with Alto Peru in Chorrillos district. And finally, Techo. Techo as an organization where students from 15, 16 years old start building houses for families that live in vulnerable places, specifically those places where they don't have access to water or basic um, or basic needs. So this is one of the hard projects, because they start working 3 days continuously to provide a house for those families. Finally, and I'm going to start concluding this presentation, service learning, as you can see, is really connected with community, and also it's a process to start connecting with that curriculum, because yeah, it sounds really nice and it sounds really powerful, but if I'm to be very honest, we have also different challenges, and we have different things to improve, and how we can connect more with the curriculum and the involvement of teachers and the educational ecosystem. Yes, I have this kind of challenges too, and also many teachers, um, if you're experiencing the same, yes, I can understand. Service learning across the curriculum can be a huge challenge, but I would like to provide you some ideas of this, such as For example, literature in how we can connect service learning with literature, such as reading stories about the personal experiences of immigrating to a new country. In terms of mathematics, because yeah, some people ask me, yeah, how we can connect service learning with mathematics, like studying and creating graphics reflecting the number of immigrants in your region, where they are coming from, and their reasons for moving. That's one of the ways, for example, that I start thinking and creating a little bit more and more step by step service learning in in the subjects, in arts, in physical and health education and design, including in sciences, which is we can think that no, service learning is also connected with the topics of social sciences, but no, could be connected with specifically, for example, learn about indigenous traditions and remedies for health concerns used by immigrants from their country of origin. There are other relevant alternatives where we can involve service learning. Can service learning impact our students? Definitely, definitely, because as we were talking about the cognitive and social emotional and also behavioral, service learning um, can improve this idea, including in our learners, that they can start creating something more bigger than within the school. And even though it's a small action, they start seeing, yeah, in a more sustainable way, those actions can start increasing in a more in a more meaningful um, and connected and inspirational form to to create a more um, to create an idea of how education and service um, start feeling more relevant in their own lives as students, but also as a leaders, starting from school. So there are different ideas of service learning, but I would like to have these final remarks taking into account the time that service is connected to our emotions, but also to our affective experience, and learning is connected to gathering knowledge to our connective experience. So this approach of service learning, this approach also of global citizenship education, talking about why we need to transform education and our different journeys. My journey was or begin with communication for development and English, volunteering, and finally start exploring SL is a huge and a huge part of my life, and this is my experience, and I would like to give you those highlights or insights of how we can start creating more changes, taking into account our process of learning with our students, with our learners, because right now they are not the future. They are start creating the future right now with their own tools, with their own experiences, with their own voices. And finally, this is a final quote: "Educating the mind without educating the heart is not education at all." So, according to Aristotle. Thank you so much. So, I'm going to start. I'm going to stop recording the recording sharing. Sorry, my presentation, and coming up to, oh my goodness, coming up to the stage. Okay, so I have this question. How can we no, this is a question, right? How can we, yes, how can we leverage technology to enable the students to collaborate with peers globally, and what challenges may arise from this? Oh, that's a nice question. Thank you, Vanessa. how we can leverage technology to enable students to collaborate with peers globally. I had this experience also in pandemic with one platform that I really liked, and I promoted also in my social media too, um, which is Global Generation Global. And technology can be a really nice element, for example, to reinforce dialogue and diversity. And this platform is really interesting because it started connecting with young learners, not only from one country but from different countries, and they start discussing like a and small circles, different topics connected with SDGs. I would like that you can check this platform because I have used it with some of my students in the pandemic, and it was really nice to see how, even though we don't need to have like a high level of English, they can start recognizing that, yeah, in other part of the world they are experiencing this challenge, or it's similar or it's not similar. So it's really nice. And what are the challenges may arise from this? Oh, yeah, a lot of challenges. I could see a lot of challenges, for example, in terms of technology with ChatGPT or AI, that right now I'm still exploring. Um, because I could see my students say, "Okay, I can summarize this by ChatGPT, or let's ask ChatGPT about this." So yeah, it's um, if I don't know how many teachers are here, but yeah, it's also a huge part of talking about how technology and different innovations happened. But this is something that we must explore more deeply, and how different governments no are. I don't know, in case of Peru, is not work they are not working working really hard for, in terms of innovation in artificial intelligence. But it's essential to start creating like a framework, like a different pathways to start promoting more the use of better technology in classrooms. Yes. Another one. How can we encourage schools and districts to how can we encourage schools and districts to prioritize service learning as a core component of their curriculum? Oh, that's a nice question, Koichi. How we can encourage schools and districts? And for example, I'm going to remember one experience of one young learner in Peru, that had a project in the north of Peru, in terms of environment and promoting the regularization of the use of plants in their own community. And they have they presented the idea of their project in their own district and the municipality, and there was like a this response and answer to no, like young learners or youth people um, uh, can promote or can have this agency. Yes, that's a key word, agency, to start, yeah, creating like a, we can make these changes in this place because we have identified, no, this district say, okay, no, it wasn't sure. So it's a really it's a challenge too, because schools and districts, for some schools and for some districts, they have this square mindset of like traditional ways, no, to promote, for example, volunteering is not some relevant because they are more focused of this kind of hearts hearts on knowledge such as mathematics, language, English, which are necessarily important. But it's is creating change step by step, is talking about it with one teacher and start discussing with them, for example, what could be the challenges that they have identified in the community, and also start talking with other teacher and something like this. Maybe some teachers, they don't recognize service learning as an approach, but they could see like volunteering or something that happens in your own community can resemble to other teachers. So this is like a flow to start like creating step by step some changes, and with for principal presenting those ideas, and we are going to see that this is not only for just one person, those or for a group of teachers that they are really interesting to support and to promote SL in the school. Thank you, Koichi. Another question: how can we evaluate students' growth as global learners beyond standard academic assessments? Oh, that's a nice way, and that's something that I'm exploring in my school too. How we can evaluate growth as global learners, because for example, at the end of this year, I could see that many teachers and the academic staff in San Silvestre are really focused on, yeah, how we can, the reports, no, the academic standards, if they are, how we are concluding the exams. But in terms of service learning, and how we can evaluate, yeah, we don't still, and I'm going to be very honest, we don't have this like a rubric or a group of specific components, like a formal, to identify as as a common report in terms of English, science, or mathematics. So I think this is a huge challenge, including for myself as a in my journey in service learning, my second year, because yeah, sometimes service learning is taken into as an idea of volunteering, and yes, there could be active participation, which is really nice. And we are what we are doing after every activity and in every in every participation, supporting, for example, these local NGOs and partners, is doing this methodology, no, as I mentioned, the investigation, preparation, the action, the reflection too as a process, which definitely is part of, at the end of every visit, or interrelation with other groups and other communities, because yeah, it arises many feelings, many emotions, how we are experiencing this visit with this group of people, etc. But in terms of evaluation, I think it's something that we must come up with, yeah, specific measures or components, and this is something that I'm going to still exploring too, and hopefully next year I could have this kind of draft for my supervisor and for my boss to, yeah, to start like, how can I say, start solidify the idea of service learning and evaluation in school. Thank you, Anessa. Oh, thank you, Gadina. From the quote, what ways can we effectively educate the herd? Yeah, that's something really deeply. From the, what ways can we effectively educate the herd? Oh my goodness. And it's not really easy, because it's not really easier, because for example, we can log into social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and sometimes we see not good news, and sometimes we are not educating our herd, when we see a lot of tragic and negative situations that happens. But some ways to effectively educate the herd, I think first is feeling very honest. No, I think the beginning is feeling very honest how we are experiencing the these activities of service learning, of volunteering, if we are connected with them, because as I mentioned you, in those with the work of those NGOs, maybe you can say, oh, all the students are really connected with those with these projects, or in every visit they feel very optimistic and they feel very motivated, and at the end they feel like, okay, it's the best. And if I'm to be very honest, sometimes no, sometimes they feel tired. Sometimes they feel like, okay, I don't, it's enough for today, or is enough for exploring, or living, for example, like building houses. I still remember the some of the answers, or the feedback of these 4 or 5 students after the 3 days of building houses and connecting with houses. And they told me, Kels, I felt really tired. I never expected that the experience could come up with that, no? From in the morning until the evening. But I think educating from the heart starts from exploring ourselves, how we are feeling, and then start sharing those small experiences with our students. and and last question, yeah, that was the last question. And I think it's going to in you are going to see the difference. You are going to see the difference when you start sharing those thoughts, sharing your perspective, because your students realize, also will realize how those perspectives and ideas and emotions can be very connected with how they are feeling too, in the visits and in the service learning projects as well. And I think it was the last question, right? Sorry guys if I was talking a little bit fast, because yeah, I know the time it was a little bit difficult, but thank you so much for all your questions. It was really nice to see this, to see the the participation, yeah, and how, and those questions, and I like it. I like the last one about the idea of education for the heart, of how it start creating these components in terms of service learning, like um, how we can measure, yeah, because this is something, when we talk about um, gratitude, helping others, supporting others, how we can measure this is something, this idea will come up after this session with with that. And yeah, and even though service learning is not the last, it's not only the only approach. You can, after this session, you can feel inspired, and you can start searching more information about service learning GCD that can reinforce your journey as a professional in education or in other fields in later on. Oh, still one. Mhm. Yeah, one more question from Vanessa. Okay, okay. What does what role, sorry, I don't have glasses, what role does digital literacy play in preparing students, again, what role does digital literacy play in preparing students to become global learners, and how it can be incorporated effectively into existing curricula? Yes, digital literacy. Digital literacy, this is something that in New Kanchik, for example, during pandemic, talking and exploring with teachers and students, we talk about digital literacy, um, focus on GCD, the role of global citizens in a digital world, yeah, because talking about social media, but also how we are experiencing to this idea um, of exploring, for example, this curriculum, and also I hopefully you can check um, UNICEF, the 12, a framework provided by UNICEF, lifelong learning skills connected with digital literacy, about creativity, about education, about diversity, um, and creativity, education, diversity, respect for others. So I think digital literacy play is something really connected with the process of learning. For example, in San Silvestre, some courses, some subjects like mathematics, like science, or including yes, I still remember one of them, the gamification. Yeah, because this is another perspective of digital literacy, is really powerful, because students not only explores this idea, no, in within high school, within school, within class, but also they start connecting, and we are going to start creating like a project of digital literacy, hopefully with other students in another school, where students from fourth, around 15 or 14 years old, can exchange ideas of, number one, methodologies and processes of how they are learning. Second one, how they are in terms of um, how can I say this, in terms of the use of money, no, no, it's digital literacy, but also is connected with economics. They are going to create like a project and connected with that, because right now in schools, for example, some students don't know exactly how what is the idea of save your own money, how you can manage this, what is the role of banks. And I think it's really nice to start seeing this co-creation from the school of the girls from San Silvestre with another school. And even though they can begin start exploring some ideas or some, yeah, some experiences, this is the first part, no, this is the best first part to later on create more activities together. Yes. So hopefully I could answer your question, Vanessa. And I think that was the last question.